By understanding some of the more common time-related storytelling techniques, you'll have a sense of what methods you can use to tell your stories. It's rare that a film is shot completely in real time, like the classic Western High Noon. In the film, a clock is repetitively shown to help illustrate the passage of time, as well as to build tension up in the film's climax. In the TV series 24, on-screen graphics are used to show the entire series takes place over a singular 24-hour time span, with each episode representing 1 hour. These examples are definitely the exception, not the norm. Typically in film, the events take place on screen over a longer amount of time than the runtime of the film. In a case like this, time must be compressed so a story that takes place over several days or years can be told in less than 2 hours. Conversely, time must occasionally be extended so events that take place over a short amount of time can be fully explored. While it's rare for an entire film to be told in extended time, it's commonly used for individual scenes or sequences. Expanded time is the use to highlight an action and oftentimes increase tension in a scene. The countdown of a timer on a bomb often moves slower than real time when our action hero is struggling to defuse it. Similarly, fight moves are often slowed down in action films so the movement can be seen and the impact of the blow emphasized. So what do you cut and what do you keep? The use of time in storytelling is important in every aspect of production, from the outlining stage to the writing of the script to the production stage and through editing. There's a saying in screenwriting that you should enter a scene after it begins and leave before it ends. You only want to show what it needs to see in order to help them get engaged in the story. While you always hope the screenwriter has done their job, it's up to the director to ensure that that scene is tight and flows smoothly. This includes keying the audience into the passage of time. If you're going to utilize time compression or expansion, most of the decisions of what you'll show the audience should be made before you shoot. Oftentimes, writers will just note in the slug line, external house, night, or inside Charlie's bedroom 5 years later, without indicating to the director a way to show that on the screen. It's important to review the script before you shoot, notating how you'll show the passage of time. That way you'll minimize your workload and have more time to get the shots you need. Text on the screen showing the date or time can be used to establish when the action of a scene or sequence is taking place. Audiences can gauge time passage based on the last graphic that appeared. While time is an abstract concept, objects associated with time are very concrete. From clocks and calendars to sunrises and sunsets to seasonal changes, the passage of time can be easily inferred from the symbolism. There are multiple techniques that utilize symbolism effectively. Let's examine them briefly. When you're looking for ways to compress time, you can show a character has aged years by altering their hair, makeup, and wardrobe. When you're using babies or children actors that are replaced by adult actors, you may have to incorporate the character's name into the dialogue if the resemblance is not uncanny. Many films will use makeup and hair color to age an actor, but as a director, it's important to remember that age can be defined by so much more. A stooped walk, a limp, or a gravelly voice can also indicate aging. Encourage your actors to bring creativity to the table and use their dramatic skills. Props and locations can show age too. A shiny new car is now old and worn. A crisp, new document is now yellowed and faded. When objectifying time, it's often helpful to use extremes to illustrate its passage. Richard Linklater's award-winning film Boyhood is a great example of illustrating the aging process practically. Linklater shot during a 12-year period of time with the same actors, so the aging process is very evident. While this type of time commitment for talent would be difficult to reproduce, it's interesting as well as educational to view. Establishing shots are used not only to show where the action is taking place, but also when it's taking place. If a scene opens up with a shot of an exterior of a house in the bright sunshine, and the next scene opens with a full moon over a lake, the audience will get the idea that time in the story has transitioned from day to night, even if no other cues are given. Likewise, if viewers see people in the 1950s style clothing walking down the street past a row of bright houses with 50-era cars parked out front, the audience will assume that this is part of the story is taking place in the 1950s, even if the last scene took place in the Middle Ages. Time-lapse use still shots of a fixed location over time. The stills are edited together to create this effect. The most common uses of time-lapse are sunset to sunrise, moon phases, and seasonal changes. However, crowds assembling and disappearing to traffic patterns on the interstate to storm rolling in are other great examples. A montage is a sequence of rapid shots used to quickly show the passage of time. Usually set to music, they are often used at the beginning of a movie to establish characters, relationships, or story. One needs to be careful as to not overuse montages. While one or two can work really well, if you have more than that, audiences may feel your film lacks substance. Many types of transitions are commonly used to illustrate certain types of changes in a story. The cut is the simplest and most widely used transition. You could say it's the absence of a transition, since it's the last frame of a clip A followed by the first frame of clip B, with no alterations. Many productions use cuts exclusively between shots in their edits. Cuts are so common that they often go unnoticed by the audience. A jump cut occurs when a subject is in motion in the initial frames of the shot and the movement jumps forward to later in the same shot. By removing a section of the movement, this shortens the time shown on screen. Fades are much less commonly used transitions when compared to the cut. They are often only used to place emphasis on dramatic shift in the story that concludes with passage of time. Fades are a shift to or from a solid color to a footage clip. The most dominant colors used in fades are black and white. Fades often illustrate a longer passage of time as compared to a passage of time illustrated by a cut. These are sometimes also used as transitions to and from a segment of expanded time. A fade to black is often used for a transition between two clips where a large amount of time passes in the story. A fade to black can also be used to transition the story out of one point of time and can be followed by a fade from black to transition the story into another point of time. Dissolves are often used to highlight a character's emotion in a transition or used to enhance the visual appeal of a montage. When considering how you want to convey the passage of time in your film, it's important to think about the pacing of your edit. Even with expansive pre-production and script notes, you may still find that, once edited, your film drags. Don't be afraid to cut and trim your scenes and condense time. Audiences are smarter than you think. They really do understand the visual language of film. It's better to make them think than to make them bored. Cinema has a rich history. By watching movies that effectively show the passage of time, you'll find inspiration for your next project.
Continued learning and practice, as well as taking refreshers on the basics, will help keep your skills sharp. Check out our video courses to stay on top of your game. Find a course by visiting videomaker.com/courses or click the link in the description.